than trying to exploit
events. You know what? I want to connect this to a story, and you may not think it's connected, but it is completely connected, and that is George Bush today speaking to the Jews for Jesus group. I guess they're called the Messianic Bible Institute, and they say the Bible predicted the day would come when that blindness would come off the eyes of the people that it all began with. The people that it all began with, obviously, are the Jews, and the blindness is obviously not being a Christian. The reason, now, of course, the Jews are very upset that George Bush would go to a Jews for Jesus meeting. First of all, Jews for Jesus, an oxymoron, and Bush, of course, a moron. So, the reason I'm relating this is because this is the absolute essence of what I hate about religion, using ancient, utter nonsense to justify present-day policies. How can we expect to do anything... How can we expect to do anything about global warming when 41% of this country thinks that the end times are at hand? They don't care about global warming. They welcome the end of the world. You cannot figure out real problems with magical thinking.
But the flip of that, right, and this goes to Ryan's point about coalitions, a lot of the folks who are actually been the most aggressive in trying to build a coalition on global warming are evangelicals, who believe strongly that when man was given dominion over the earth, it was to not cook it. And so there has been a big movement in religious conservatism. If you go through the folks who are conservatives and actually support doing something about global warming, you actually find a little bit more support among religious conservatives than you do among, say, economic conservatives, who, even if they will accept the reality of it, will refuse to do anything at all about it.
And you know that so many of the people who fought for social justice in this country, some of which are causes that I don't necessarily share or endorse, but some of these people were, you know, the Catholic social worker movement, if you look at the civil rights movement, these are people who are devoutly religious, you know, who were advancing these ideas that I think you care a lot about too. So,
well, and they certainly,
it's not a coincidence that they
certainly
those ideas
have been advanced by people who weren't religious, and you do not need the magical thinking to advance ethical goals. I mean, I would never argue with you that in the name of religion, people have done some good things and many more horrible things. And I think it's pretty cynical that the way these evangelicals love it, they love Israel, hate the Jews, but they love Israel because they want Israel to be in the hand.
I just want to stick up for Messianic Jews for 1 second here. If you look at Jewish Americans, 22% of them are secular. They're not Jews by religion, they're Jews by culture. I think the basic idea here is that you can continue to be Jewish and identify as Jewish and as part of this cultural community, and you could profess Christianity. It's not as though you're... I think that that's actually...
Well, no, you can't be both. You can't be...
Of course you can be both.
A Jew for
Have you ever
Jesus?
heard of a Buju, a Buddhist Jew? They're quite common, particularly in these parts.
It's like a Muslim
I know many
for
myself
Christ.
very well.
I mean, it just doesn't...
I think but the unsettling part is for people who belong to a creed to have someone who is outside that creed come and lecture them, which is, I think, the problem with a lot of people with George Bush speaking, is that he's evangelizing to a different religion to talk about his religion. And I mean, if you're religious, that's a problem.
The problem is that the reason that they love Israel is because that's where you know who has to return. But he can't return until the Jews have all converted.
Well, there's a lot of political advantage to loving Israel.
So it's a very strange kind of love they have for the Jews.
They want to share the good news.
Yeah, the good news. Okay, well, good news is I have to go to New Rules right now.